Hi there, fellow watchers. It's that time of the week again. Born to Watch. The year was 1979, again, and an English director with a penchant for cigars, in only his second feature film, took a story from two film school nerds and created a movie that quite literally changed the world and defined a genre. The way people looked at both science fiction and horror movies was never the same. Ridley Scott created what could be considered his masterpiece with Alien. He defied society and cast a strong female lead who would become an action icon in Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley. Surrounded with an ensemble cast that doesn't miss a beat, this is brilliant, brilliant casting and filmmaking. H.R. Geiger created a world and a species that has never been recorded once in over 300 surveyed worlds. Not only is Alien a great movie, but it also could lay claims to having the greatest sequel of all time and also the greatest tagline of all time. Now let's wake my fellow crew members from stasis and explore the air shafts as we dissect Alien. G-Man.
Good evening. Thanks, Whitey. Great work on the opening spiel.
Thanks,
Loved
mate.
it.
I appreciate that.
Well, I can't believe this is Ridley Scott's second movie.
Incredible, hey? A bit of a TV jobber.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Before all that, but he's had some hits. But wow, second in. Look, I know this is a favourite of the pod here, and I know this is one of Morgs' all-time favourites, and I can see why. I mean, Morgs has always been a lover of the old Powery, having a power snooze in the day, and these guys have the ultimate Powery when they go into hyperspace.
Incredible.
Yeah.
He's got a lot. His underwear reminds me a lot of what they wore in the things as well.
That opening scene where you straight up the Y fronts.
I really thought we were going to see John Hurt's old fella.
It was a great shot.
Okay, and Dan up there on the land, how are you, mate?
How shit are cats?
Yeah, it was just proven in 2 hours. Just proved all my theories about cats in one foul swoop.
They fucking suck, and people that like cats fucking suck. And I'm looking straight at you, Craig Plimmer and Tina Plimmer. Fucking cats, my God.
They're double cat.
Yeah, I got a question in question time about Jonesy, which I think we'll dissect a little bit in there. Okay, look now, Dan, we know this is a favourite of yours. Old movie, 44 years old, this one. 1979, it's hard to believe that it's that old. Tell us a little bit about your introduction to Alien, and we're going to set the overs and unders here at 40.
Jesus.
And I'm looking at Gow.
I mean, this, I've talked about this basically in every podcast we've done so far, so there's no hiding that it's a favourite movie of mine. But I wouldn't have seen this before I saw Aliens, I don't think. So it's a bit back to front, and it is a bit of a rare occurrence with sequels before you go back and revisit the original. But since I've discovered Alien, I mean, I just fell in love with it many, many, many moons ago, certainly not in 1979. And gee, me and you, were we mates in 79? Was that when we were at Mrs. Ball's preschool? Was that?
You were Hall Street Kindy. Yeah.
Hall Street Kindy.
Oh,
yeah. That was pre-Victoria Morgs.
That was before you went off to Adelaide to be a Radeladian, and before I went off to Melbourne to get a long back and red hair and a real just general shittedness. But yeah, we were at Mrs. Hall's, and I've seen a class photo from that time, and you had a head.
Oh, I hadn't grown into my head then. No, that's for sure.
Your poor little rig was dwarfed by your massive head, and your teeth were the same size then as they are now.
I know, but they looked massive then.
Yeah, they were too big for you.
Too big. Yeah. They just never grew.
You've always been disproportionate, Gow.
That's right.
Yeah.
But sorry, Whitey, back to your original question. Yeah, look.
I've forgotten what it was. What was my original question?
You were like, Alien. How nuts is my Alien? And it's so nuts. Like, it's been a huge part of my cinema life and why I love cinema. Why I got into the industry, could be argued, was because of the friendship I struck up with the Scott brothers, but Tony was a bit of a prick, so it was definitely I skewed a little more this way, and huge part of my life.
Yeah, excellent, nice, and overs and unders. Overs, I'm tipping.
Oh, I've seen this. Like it's ridiculous the amount of time I've seen this film.
Yeah.
Like between this and Aliens, it's hundreds. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. G-Man, tell me a bit about your first memories of Alien and what's your overs and unders for this one.
Well, I'm going to surprise you guys on this. I'm going to go a bit damo, and not in like the good-looking triple threat way, but in the amount of times I've watched a movie way. I've only seen this less than 5 times.
Wow.
Less than 5. I've seen Aliens so many times, and I never saw this when it came out, and I watched Aliens with you guys first time ever at Morgs' place in Woodward Street, and we watched that all the time.
A lot.
All the time. And then Morgs kept saying to me, you know, watch Alien, and I never got around to it. I watched it once years later, I think, because, you know, Morgs said that was really scary, but he said that about Evil Dead, remember? And then he didn't want to watch it. And we had to sit there when we were about 19 watching it, and then Morgs had to apologise.
Evil Dead was really scary the first time we saw it, though.
When you were 12, it was super scary, but not at 19.
But no, I have not seen this movie for a long time, and I haven't seen it very, very many times.
Okay, very good. Okay, look, I'm exactly the same as Dan on this one. I saw Aliens first, and Aliens was the first movie that I ever pirated. I hired Aliens from DY Video and probably Aussies, straight down to mates down the street, the old De Kaisers, and got that pirated. And that was the first movie I ever had, which was not an official copy of a movie, and watched Aliens a lot, and then really didn't even realise there was a movie before it, to be honest. And then as I started to do the research, realised there was, and then I remember distinctly, I was down at DY. Remember there was the really big Blockbuster or whatever on the corner where the Drummond Golf used to be?
Yes, yeah.
And it was really big. And I remember I was walking along the aisles there, and I must have been, I'd say, 13, 12. And I found it, and I go, that's got to be the original one. So I took it home. And I've got to say, the first time I watched it, I was a bit disappointed because it is so different. It's such a contrast of a movie compared to Aliens. Now, if you were to watch Alien first and then watch Aliens, I think that'd be okay. But going from the balls to the wall,
that's exactly
action,
so much action, so many guns blazing.
Mate, nothing happens in this movie for a long time.
The opening scene goes for a long time.
Yeah, 6 minutes 35. We'll get to that. So I have since, as I've matured, have grown to love this almost as much as I love Aliens. I've actually seen it several times in the cinema on re-releases, which has been incredible. I own it on 4K, on HD Blu-ray. It is an incredible 4K. It looks like it was made yesterday. It is so good. The production value and production design of this film is incredible. It is so good. I am over 100 times I've seen this movie. This is a movie that I would watch multiple times every year. I would now watch this more than I watch Aliens.
Yeah.
Which is saying something. I'd probably watch this 2 or 3 times a year. I'd watch Aliens once a year or twice a year. So I'd definitely watch Alien more now. Just a great film. Really good. Giving it away. Premature adulation.
Yeah.
Hasn't been that for a while.
I don't think you're giving it away. I think it's already been noted that this is high up on the list.
In saying that, I've got a lot in bad. Yeah.
Morgs, where did you rate this in your top 10? Did you rate it top 10?
Well, you didn't do a top 10.
Sorry, in your top 17.
Yeah, because I didn't know, because it was chronologically in my top 17. So I think this was second, maybe.
Yeah, it was second.
It was second. I remember.
Which I wouldn't have changed. Right. And it was because obviously Wake and Fright came in at number 1 just to piss off Sloane more than anything. But
certainly did.
Alien was a true number 2. It would have to be up there with one of my favourite films of all time. And like everyone else's top 10, top 17 list, mine changes constantly. But this is a mainstay. And I agree. I'm going to take over your agreeing for a while, but I agree wholeheartedly with Whitey. Alien and Aliens couldn't be different. Couldn't be more different. They are paced completely differently. Aliens is just a rollicking ride the whole time. This is slow as fuck. Like this is excruciatingly slow in some parts, but that just adds more to the absolute fear that you buy into of all the characters as their inevitable demise is slowly just comes about on screen. So there's so much to talk about with this film, and it's definitely one of my favourites for sure.
Absolutely. All right, now let's feel the tension as we listen to the trailer. Another great trailer, the mood, that start where the letters just appear that they use at the start of this film it's just so eerie, so well. And mate, it dead set looks like it's been made in the back of a shed. The start of this movie, the opening credits, it's incredible, but it's so powerful. The silence, it's so good. Anyway, G-Man, why don't you tell us about Alien?
All right. With what the most iconic tagline?
Could be.
In space, no one can hear you scream. In the distant future, the crew of the commercial spaceship Nostromo are on its way home when it picks up a distress call from a distant moon. Under obligation to investigate, the spaceship lands on the small planetoid and the crew members leave to explore the area. When they discover a hive colony of some unknown creature, the ship's computer also deciphers a message that appears to be a warning, not a distress call. When one of the eggs is disturbed, the crew realise that it is not alone on the spaceship and it must deal with the consequences.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Can't give away too much, though, can it? Like, it's got to play its cards pretty close to its chest. I've got to say, Dan, being a scholar of this film, I picked a couple things up this time, and I've done this of late. The lack of communication. So the only communication that they could get was the beacon. Yeah. So, and this was all orchestrated, right? So this is all orchestrated by Mother and by Ash. That all communications are shut down. The only thing you can hear is the beacon. They can't call back to home. They don't even know where they are, right? They are so in the dark, quite literally. I found that to be like super powerful this time, and I only just really realised like Ash is in this from the start, like from the very start. Like, and I didn't know whether I believed that up until this watch, where I paid really close attention to the part that Ash played in it, and it's really obvious that he orchestrates this whole thing.
The whole Ash subplot was added after the effects. So the original, Dan O'Bannon and Roland Shusett that wrote the original screenplay didn't include this Ash subplot, and that was added by the great Walter Hill, who was a producer on the film and an amazing screenwriter and director in his own right. And you just can't imagine this film without that whole Ash subplot. And the more that you know about it and the more you revisit it, the more that you see it in Ash's reactions at every stage throughout the film, like he is orchestrating this. So it's an incredible bit that I think goes a long way to elevating it beyond what could have been a schlocky B-movie like every monster film from the 1950s that had come before it. And I think it's the depth of the story and just how some of the themes, such as the corporation versus man, that is rampant throughout the entire Aliens discography, is very much paramount in this first film.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you notice like when Ash when they don't grab the baby when he comes out of the chest, they don't grab the baby.
Yeah, he says leave it alone.
Leave it alone. All of those little bits when you look
Yeah.
back and you realize after you realize that he turns, you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few bits that you know he's in on it all the way.
Absolutely. Critical thinking. So this is a good one. IMDb have this rated at 8.5 out of 10. It's number 53 in the top 250 movies with over 900,000 reviews. This is obviously certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, 98% on the tomato meter with a 94% audience score.
Wow.
That's high.
That's
right up there with the highest that we've done. Okay, couple reviews. Got one from Jerry's brother, Eric Lundegaard of the Seattle Times. The most startling thing watching Alien again is its pacing. For the first 45 minutes, little happens. It's all slow, exquisite build-up, which makes the second half seem all the more horrific. It's perfect.
Yeah.
No, perfect, that. Really, really good. Got a bad review here from Dave O'Kerr. He's back. From the Chicago Reader. An empty-headed horror movie with nothing to recommend it beyond the disco-inspired art direction and some handsome, if gimmicky, cinematography.
Wow.
That's tough.
So this is his whole shtick, is he just shits on great movies. Is that?
It seems to be. It would seem to be.
Yeah. What a fucking prick. Yeah. No, he couldn't have even been watching the same movie. So fuck off, Dave Kerr.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not with you, Curry. He's the true Wayne Kerr there. There's no doubt. Ordinary people, Gow. Tell us a bit about the cast, the crew, the budgets.
Okay,
everything.
Here we go. Small cast in this movie. Not too many players in it, but
yeah,
we'll run through them. We'll run through them pretty quickly.
Excellent.
Sigourney Weaver. We've talked about Sigourney before. We've had her on for Ghostbusters previously.
This is her first role.
She was in one movie early called Madman in '78, but then she was cast in this. So she was did a bit of TV, did a bit of early TV. Did Eyewitness in '81 with William Hurt and Christopher Plummer. The Year of Living Dangerously, obviously Ghostbusters in '84, Aliens in '86, Gorillas in the Mist. So she had a real
Gorilla Biscuits.
She was
in the
really
mist.
big,
In the mist.
Yeah, Working Girl. She was in Copycat in '95. The Village. But anyway, look, just quickly, a bit of a sliding door here. Meryl Streep was a contender for this role, but her husband had just passed away, John Cazale.
Yes. Yeah, he was mourning. She was mourning.
Yes. So Sigourney Weaver was actually the last person cast, and it was actually her screen test that bagged the role. It was her speech from the final scene.
Yeah.
And that was the screen test, and that's what got her the role.
I'm sure Meryl Streep would have been good because she's a great actor, right? But you cannot possibly imagine anyone on the planet playing Ellen Ripley now than Sigourney Weaver.
No, it's a really, really iconic role now that she's been, especially after Aliens.
Yeah,
I think that just cemented it.
Yeah, and she copped a bit of shit on the set because she was a newbie and there was a lot of experience in that cast, right? Even though it's limited, a lot of experienced players there.
Yeah,
she copped a lot of shit.
Well, that's right, but they wanted a really experienced cast because they had to carry the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no other supporting actors around. There's nothing else happening except them and their dynamics. So, look, her salary when she did Alien Resurrection in '97 was more than the entire cost of Alien itself.
She got 26 million or something like that.
Something
ridiculous.
Crazy, yeah. Moving on, we'll go quickly. Tom Skerritt. Now, how old do you reckon Tom Skerritt is?
Now?
Yeah.
84.
90.
What?
He's born in 1933.
Holy
25th of August, so he's just turned 90.
No wonder he wasn't in Top Gun Maverick.
No. Well, he made a movie. I'll go through it, but he's made a movie lately. But he made his debut in War Hunt in 1962 and then did years of TV, Combat, The Virginian, Gunsmoke. And then his next big movie break was MASH, 1970.
Yeah. Right.
With Donald Sutherland and Elliot Gould.
Yep. Another Morgs lookalike.
Yes. He did The Dead Zone in '83 with Christopher Walken, and obviously Top Gun in '86 as Viper. Still Magnolias, The Rookie with Clint Eastwood in 1990 and Charlie Sheen. And most well known for Picket Fences from 92
That's
to
right.
96.
Yeah.
He got a lead actor Emmy in 93 for that. But most recently, as I said, he was in a movie called Catch the Bullet in 2021.
Jesus.
Mm.
He's old.
But look, interesting on this movie, he actually was approached early in the development and he turned it down. It didn't have a director, had a low budget, so he didn't want to do it.
Yeah, he didn't think it was going to do it justice. The budget would do it justice.
No, but 20th Century Fox doubled the budget from 4.2 to 8.4 million on the strength of Ridley Scott's storyboards,
Yeah.
and then he came back on.
Okay, so Dan, have you seen any of the storyboards Ridley Scott's done?
So what's interesting about Ridley Scott is his background, or wasn't in direction, but it was in art direction. So he was a very successful commercial director in the UK, and obviously quite used to storyboarding with a lot of the campaigns that he did. And he actually storyboarded the entire film for this. And if you look at the little sketches he does, they are scene perfect for the entire film. So there is, I don't think they diverged at all from his original storyboard. So it was actually resulted in him getting more cash ultimately for the film, because the producers were able to see what his vision was, and as he started to shoot it and they saw the dailies, they were like, right, we get what you're up to here. Here's another 4 million, which was a huge amount of money at the time for what was not really looking to be the success that it was as far as expectations of the production guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, Ridley Scott directed the Roxy Music song Avalon.
Yeah.
It's crazy. 1982.
Avalon.
So, and look, someone to turn down this role, Harrison Ford.
Yeah. He turned down the Dallas role, didn't he?
Yeah, he turned down the Dallas role. Yeah. And then obviously Tom Skerritt came back, and once as you said, as the budget came up,
yeah,
we're going to go to Harry Dean Morgan.
Wow, Harry Dean Morgan.
Yeah. But
right.
So while they're calling him Harry Dean Morgan, fuckwits, is that I was thinking I was a bit of a 6C quite a few years back now. And quite a few years back. And this bloke was licking me out. And I can't remember why, but
he was blind.
You know, I've had a couple of Brad Pitts in my time. I often get Andy Lee, I get Travis Pastrana, I get, there's some sick bloke lookalikes that I get. But this bloke was licking me out, and I thought, this is going to, this is how it's going to go. I just roll through it. And he's like, you look like that actor bloke, that was, it was in that film, in that sci-fi film. And I'm thinking, it's probably Brad Pitt and Ad Astra or something along those lines. And he's like, yeah, what was that guy, Harry Dean Stanton in Alien? I'm like, what are you fucking talking about, mate? That bloke looked 60 back then, and that was 1979. So, yeah, anyway, fuck him.
We've already done a lookalike side by side. We're going to repost that again on the socials. Please get on there. We know that one of our very good listeners knew straight away who the lookalike was. So anyway, G-Man, continue.
I'm not sure about that, Morgs. You may be related to him. He did a movie in '57 called Mark of the Apache, and then after that, he did a whole heap of TV shows, mainly as a soldier and as a cowboy from the land.
Oh, he wore the shit out of that hat.
Yeah, whilst I need about another 30 years to morph into his particularly rough scone, I do appreciate his background. He used to hang out with the Eagles in the 70s. Like, he was a 6C of his time. So there is that definitely dynamic that we share.
He was in Cool Hand Luke in '67. Yeah, he played Tramp. He was in Kelly's Heroes with Clint Eastwood and Telly Savalas. The Godfather Part 2.
Yep.
He had a small role as the FBI man there.
Yeah, he's in the courtroom part. He's I think he's one of the guys in the room with Pantangeli.
Yes.
Frank Pantangeli.
But look, now we're going to ding the bell. He was in Escape from New York in 1981.
Yeah, of course.
As Brain Hellman.
He's very good there.
Yeah, Repo Man, Red Dawn.
Oh, he plays Patrick Swayze in Charlie Sheen's Dad.
Alderman Swayze back. Yeah. Pretty in Pink. He's in Twister. He was in The Green Mile. Played Toot Toot, the inmate.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah. But look, he actually spoke to Ridley Scott about this movie and said, look, during the audition, he said, I don't like sci-fi or monster movies. So Ridley Scott was amused, but then convinced him that it was more of a thriller.
Yeah, he said, I'm not doing either of those.
Yeah. So he convinced him it was a thriller, not really a sci-fi or monster movie. Who else we got?
What about Yaphet?
Yeah, we got Yaphet. You know how big he was? Did you see him walking alongside Harry Dean?
He's a massive man.
He's 6'4".
Yeah. And
Harry Dean Stanton must be tiny because they were walking along down like through the ship, and he was so much bigger and wider than him. But yeah, look, he started as a Broadway in the stage version of The Great White Hope. He was an understudy to James Earl Jones. That was in the mid-60s, I think. But he was obviously in Live and Let Die. He was Mr. Big.
Yeah.
73. He was 33 years old. He was the youngest actor to play a Bond villain at the time.
Yep.
Obviously, Alien was in Eye of the Tiger with Gary Busey in 86. And The Running Man. And did a whole heap of TV after that. He was on Homicide: Life on the Street. Played Al Giardello for 122 episodes. But interestingly for him, he turned down the role of Lando Calrissian.
Oh.
Yeah.
Billy D.
Yep. He thought that Lando was going to be killed in the movie and he was going to be typecast, so he let it go, and Billy D. Williams took it.
Bad move.
Yeah.
Bad move, Yaffet.
Real bad.
Bad move. We'll move on. Look, I think we can. That's it for the cast. Do we want to go through anyone else?
Oh, well, there's only one of the greatest actors of our generation in John Hurt that you haven't touched.
Yeah, I'll go back to him. Well, there's Ian Holm. Sir Ian Holm as well.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't want to talk about Ash. Ash is a fuckwit. I don't want to talk about Ash. Sorry.
John Hurt wasn't in this movie for a long time. Well, it was drawn out for a fair bit, so he was in it for 45 minutes, maybe more.
He's in it for, I can tell you, it's 56 minutes
56
and 35
minutes.
seconds
Yeah.
or something like that. He's in the movie. But he was cast the night before he started.
Yeah, because the original actor got
sick.
Got sick
On the first day of shooting.
He was actually the first choice, and then he pulled out because he had a schedule conflict, and then the other guy had to pull out with what was it?
He
ended up having diabetes,
Yeah, diabetes, something like that, yeah.
But Ridley Scott drove to his house and sat down, and then it was 2 a.m. in the morning, and he goes, "When do I start?" And Ridley Scott said 7:30. So he goes, "We better get the car to come and pick me up." So it drove him to the set, and he was there. Didn't see a script, had no idea. Yeah, incredible.
No, he's good. Well, he got a BAFTA nominee for this, but he was in Midnight Express in 1978 as well. Yeah. He was one of the inmates, and he had an Oscar nom for Best Supporting Actor there as well. He was obviously in The Elephant Man in 1980, and he won a BAFTA and got an Oscar nom for that too.
Not an animal.
Yeah, that's the one. He's in Spaceballs in 87, where he spoofed his role in Alien. Rob Roy, he's in Contact.
He's good.
More recently in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or the Harry Potter movies, as Mr. Ollivander. He was in Hellboy.
Yes, he was. He plays Hellboy's minder or father, surrogate father. Yep.
Yeah. But here's a little stat for you. Out of all the working actors in Hollywood, he holds the record for the most on-screen character deaths.
Oh, really?
47.
Sean Bean's after him, though.
Yeah.
That's impressive, yeah.
He was actually offered the role of Gandhi in Richard Attenborough's 1982 film.
Wow.
But turned it down because he didn't think that a Caucasian man should portray that.
He's woke before his time.
He's woke before his time, yeah.
I'll tell you what, no white person would be playing Gandhi nowadays, that's for sure.
Yeah.
No. All right, well done, G-Man. What about the budget? Box office?
All right, the gross, $62 million domestically, $122.6 internationally for $184.6 worldwide. It was a $10.7 million budget.
Crazy.
And $3.5 million on the opening weekend.
Crazy. Good wedge.
Yeah, good wedge. Absolute hit. What about any Academy Awards or what's going on?
Yeah, look, in that year, so 1979, we've been through it before. We've had Mad Max, but Kramer vs. Kramer won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Dustin Hoffman, Best Supporting Actress for Meryl Streep. Sally Field won Best Actress for Norma Ray. And Alien got Best Effects, Best Visual Effects.
Yeah.
Because, as we said, it wasn't really a big hit when it first came out, but it sort of grew legs after that.
Hard to deny the visual effects, though, right? The chestburster scene alone is one that just wins an Academy Award on the spot, right?
Did you notice a lot of the scanners are a bit like Star Wars?
Yeah,
because that was one of his the movies that he sort of based it off. But I noticed a lot of similarities in the way in some of those early scanners that they had, or some of that stuff they had.
Yep. Well done, G-Man. Another quality segment. 1979 hit, sleeper, or dud. My hit for 1979, and it was quite difficult because there's probably 5 I could have chosen. I actually wrote down Apocalypse Now and deleted it. Rocky 2.
Nice choice.
How can I not go with Rocky 2? It has my favourite training montage in all the Rockies. Very close photo finish with Rocky 4. But when the kid is running behind him yelling, go, 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 when he's running through Philadelphia and then runs up Morgs' stairs, is incredible. I love Rocky 2. We get to see Rocky win, which is nice. Incredible movie. An easy hit for me. G-Man, what do you got?
Well, there's some really good movies in 79. You'd think I'd go with Mad Max, seeing it was in my top 10, and it is one of the greatest movies of all time. But I'm not going with that. I'm going with something far greater.
This will be good.
A Force of One, a Chuck Norris special.
All right, G-Man.
Here's the movie for you. When the detectives of an undercover police unit are being mysteriously killed by a martial artist, a professional kickboxer is hired to assist them.
Oh, that's good.
Now, it's got the iconic cover of Chuck sitting cross-legged with no shirt on. He's got his hands out beyond his knees, and it's got the white light triangle around him.
I'm going to have to watch this.
Yeah, it's great. And listen to the trailer. It's got one of the greatest lines. You know, it's that quintessential American voice for the trailer. It's like, it starts with a routine search. It ends in a trail of bodies.
Love it. Good choice, G-Man. Dan, what have you got for it?
Yeah, I'm not a huge Roger Moore fan as far as the Bonds go, but Moonraker was actually a 1979 film that came in the top 10, around about 9
big time. Yeah.
in the domestic box office. So 70-odd million, not a slouch by any stretch. Quite a bit camp, typical Roger Moore fare, but we are introduced to Jaws coming back for his second stint in the Bond universe, and it's I've seen it recently. It's definitely, when you see the Daniel Craig Bond and compare it with the Roger Moore Bond, it's like watching Austin Powers basically compared to the Daniel Craig bits. But a great movie, and if it ever pops up on anything that any of your streamers when you're sitting around with not much to do, definitely worth a revisit.
Yeah, I agree. It's I was a big Roger Moore fan. He was my Bond for a long time.
He was your Bond, right? Okay.
Yeah, for a long time. Not anymore. Okay, 1979 sleeper. Escape from Alcatraz.
Yeah, good movie.
Obviously starring Clint Eastwood. It's the most secure prison of all time. No one can ever escape. They didn't bank on Clint Eastwood being in there. I still remember today the paper mache head that he puts under the blanket. It's like one of one of my lasting memories of the movie is just the paper mache head. And I said, how does he make that? How do they do that under the guise of all these guards? And what are you making that paper mache head for, Clit? Oh, well, nothing. I'm just an artist. But it's a great movie. True story. The guys were never found.
No.
Just a great movie.
It's an awesome movie.
Really good movie. G-Man, what do you got? Sleeper.
I couldn't split these two. I've got The Warriors and The Wanderers.
Yes.
Both cracking movies. I watched The Wanderers only about 3 months ago. It came on. If it's not really a woke movie anymore.
Neither's The Warriors.
No, not really The Warriors, but The Wanderers is pretty bad. But Ken Wall at his best. Karen Allen, young Karen Allen. Yeah. Great movie about the Italian gangs in...
the guy looks like Butterbean.
Yeah. I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
John Friedrich.
Yeah, I don't know. Just Butterbean.
Yeah, the big guy.
Yeah.
And obviously The Warriors as well.
We've been talking The Warriors up for 70 episodes on this show. I think we spoke about doing it in the first 5 or 6. We're going to have to do it before the end of the year, I think.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
They get out of town, they get away from the Bronx out to Coney Island, and then they got to fight their way back in.
And it's got fucking Sally from Commando.
Yes, yeah.
And this, unlike in Commando, he dies last.
Yes.
Okay, Dan, what do you got for Sleeper?
Yeah, around this time, and Alien was one of the reasons, but predominantly Star Wars was the reason that we were filled with a lot of sci-fi futuristic fare. And this one, like Battlestar Galactica, was around about the same time and was a little bit more on the campy side, but definitely worth a look. And it's Buck Rogers in the 25th century.
Nice one.
Yes.
Look, it's just one of those films that I remember from when we were kids that was just a part of our childhood, essentially. And it was a film that you're allowed to watch, I think, as a kid. It wasn't certainly not like Alien, which our parents would no doubt have shuddered to let us see until we were at least in our teens or whenever. But Buck Rogers, it was pretty PG fare. And definitely piggybacking heavily onto the Star Wars universe. But old Gil Gerard, who Gow and I think you, Whitey, we called one of your coaches for a long time on the back of this movie. And yeah, just a enjoyable flick. I wouldn't have seen it in 30 years, but remember it as definitely a film from our childhood.
It is on Plex, Dan, if you want to revisit it.
I may have to.
It is there. Colonel Wilma Deering, Erin Gray.
Yeah,
great
Deering,
sort.
yes.
Great sort.
Yeah.
Great sort.
Great sort.
I love that show. Jeez, it was a good show.
Yeah, Buck Rogers in the 21st century, really, really good. I've got I actually bought the ship, the Viper. It's not the Viper's Battlestar Galactica, but I bought the Buck Rogers ship.
Yeah.
For collection. It's in my box of toys for collection because I'm a loser. Thought I'd just get in there first before anyone jumped on me. Okay, 1979 dud. This was very easy, and it's with a bit of a heavy heart that it's 1941. Spielberg's monumental flop after the success of Jaws. He was obviously the greatest or the biggest filmmaker on the planet. It is so bad. Hysterical Californians prepare for a Japanese invasion in the days after Pearl Harbor. He even parodies Jaws, where the girl is swimming in the water and the submarine rises and sort of she gets caught on the telescope. It is shockingly bad. John Belushi's in it. It's a bad movie. I've tried to watch it many times. I don't think I've gotten all the way through it. It's bad. G-Man.
Oh, look, I had a couple that I was trying to get through. One of them was an Aussie movie with Steve Bisley and Michael Caton. It's called The Last of the Knucklemen.
Oh, yeah.
But I found another one. I was going between.
This is good. This is good.
I was going between one called Golden Girl, which is about a neo-Nazi doctor who tries to make a superwoman of his daughter, who he specially feeds, exercises, and conditions since she was a child in preparation for the Olympics.
Wow. That's like Rocky Horror Picture Show in reverse.
Yeah, starred James Coburn. But I couldn't go past another one I found, which is a movie called Chomps. Now, this synopsis is a young man invents a robot dog that has super strength, X-ray vision, and can detect crimes being committed. A greedy businessman tries to steal the invention from him.
Chomps.
Where do you find these movies, Gow?
You know, but no, there's a bit of a cast in it.
Tell me.
Mr. D's in it, Conrad Bain.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, the world don't move. Okay, Conrad Bain.
Yeah, Conrad Bain, and the female lead in this was Valerie Bertinelli.
She was a good sort.
Good sort.
Yeah.
So that was my bad.
Okay, well done. Dan, up there on the land, what do you got for dud?
I don't know that there'd be too many years where the number one grossing film of the year is My Bad. But in 1979, that is the case. Superman with Christopher Reeve.
Wow.
What a absolute pile of dog shit that film is. I never enjoyed it. I remember as a kid thinking it was shit. It is shit. And I can't believe over a quarter of a bazillion people paid $93,292,767 to see that film in the cinema. You're all dickheads.
Yeah, okay, that's a really hot take, Dan. But I agree. Tonally, it's a bit off. It's not a kids. It doesn't feel like a kids movie. That's for sure.
It's just that they didn't quite nail it. I think there wasn't a lot of choice. Like not everyone was as educated as us as film goers in 1979. But if they did it again, I think they would do it a lot differently.
Well, they have done it again, and it's been shit house every time.
Yeah.
Question time. Is Ripley correct in her quarantine stance? Now, in hindsight, it's very easy to say yes. Put under the same situation, do you not let them in?
If she didn't let them in, that alien never gets on board.
For sure.
So she was right in what she was doing. That
She
was
was
the
right.
protocol, but she got overridden.
Yeah.
Was it
What's Ash? Ash overrides them.
Who opens the door? Isn't
Ash.
It? Oh,
Ash,
it is.
yeah.
Oh, no, because the other girl slaps her, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Because she was outside.
If you'd seen it more than 5 times in 44 years, you'd know that was
No,
a major
I was thinking it was the girl. I was
No,
thinking
she
it was the girl that did it, but she was angry because she got left outside.
Yeah. No, she's out there with them. Yeah. No, I think I'd leave the door shut myself. Fuck you, Ash.
Yeah. Ripley was following protocol. She was a bit of a nerd. Like
she was a nerd.
If you were on the ship and you had to, she was a by the rules Barry, but she was actually correct in thinking that maybe you shouldn't bring someone on board that's got a chest hugger fuck in your face.
Yes, absolutely. Just a little bit left field. What do you think happens if you wake up during hypersleep?
Yeah,
I think about that every movie that I see because I'm like I know Dan would be sweet because he'd just go to sleep and not wake up, right? Because he'd be on fucking diazepam or something, right? He'd just zonk himself out. Something a Pam and he'd be gone, right?
He'd
But
just roll over and piss on the cat.
and Dan's known to just pissing wherever he wants. Like I'm a regular guy, so I wake up.
I'm just
I need
a
a shit.
regular Joe with a regular job.
I'm your average white.
No, okay, but listen, I know that I'm going to wake up in the morning and the first thing I do is take a shit. Right? It's just what I do. Now I'm not, and if I sleep. Say if I sleep for 8 hours, I'm at DEFCON 4 by the time I wake up. I'm heading straight there. If I'm sleeping for fucking months, I can't imagine what's happening to my body.
What are you talking about? You'd wake up with your morning fat and you would give it an absolute scene to, and then you go back to sleep
I'd have to
for
take a dump.
10 months.
I'd have to take a dump.
How do they knock themselves out for these extended
There
periods?
must be something in the.
How do they knock one out for this extended period?
There's not a lot of room to knock one out. I'll give you the tip. But in saying that, Ripley does have 2 pussies in her stasis pod at the end. They're both quite furry by the looks of things.
It was the 70s.
Yeah, so anyway, just a question. It's probably unanswerable, but all right, we'll move on from that one. Has there been...
It's completely answerable. I can picture you from a helicopter view in your pod. You wake up and you'd be squinting over at Ripley, just giving it. And then you'd be back asleep.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
I've got to say, that's probably the right answer. That's probably the right answer. All right, has there been a scarier creature ever created? Is this the king of monsters?
I think there's 2 parts to that question. I think that it is an exceptionally scary creature, but without that Swiss freak, H.R. Giger, and his fucked up mind, then you don't have any of this film whatsoever. It's a B film. It looks like Creature from the Black Lagoon, and it's never spoken of again. So I think he is a huge part of why this is such a scary fucking thing.
Yeah. Definitely.
I think the little snap jaws, they're the worst. It's got the big rows of teeth, and the little snap jaws come out. That's not good.
They're unforgettable, the snap jaws. Okay, and then leading on from that, the chestburster scene, could it be the most iconic scare in movie history?
As far as jump scares go, yeah, like I don't like horror. I don't like horror comics. I'm a bit like Corey Haim in The Lost Boys. I don't like horror. But yes, I think as far as jump scares goes, you would be hard pressed to name many more that freak you out more than this one.
Yeah, G-Man, good one.
It's awesome. Yeah, I had in my good the alien chestburster. Okay. Unreal scene.
Excellent.
When he's bouncing around on the table.
Last question: which is better? Alien or Aliens? Dan, I'm going to start with you.
Aliens. It's a really tough one, but Aliens is a more enjoyable film, and I don't normally skew towards the more popcorn fare. But if I had to choose what I would watch tomorrow or what I could only watch ever again, I just love that Aliens film so much. It'd be Aliens.
Yep. G-Man?
Aliens, definitely. I really, really love Aliens for all the reasons Morg just said. But I have a question for you. Like,
Could we describe that as, sorry, Gow, could we describe that as agreeing with Morg?
Yes.
100%.
I'm agreeable.
Okay.
I'm agreeable to. I'd like to ask you, Alien or The Thing? Because they're very, very similar movies. They are.
Yeah, oh, God, that's really good, Gow.
Because they are so similar.
I'm going The Thing. I'm going The Thing for me. There's something... And it's like... and when we get to the rank bank, you're going to see how fine line this is. But I'm going to go The Thing. But they're both incredible films that are in my top... Well, The Thing's my second favourite movie of all time. Love The Thing. It's an incredible film. Yep.
Great.
All right, well done. Well played, gentlemen. It's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we've got a very special segment tonight because joining us all the way from the other side of the country is one of our loyal listeners, Matty Beer Geek from WA. How are you, buddy?
Gentlemen, thanks for having me on. I'm very good. I'm good.
Mate, I'll tell you the story. So Matt's been one of the listeners that does reach out and does do a bit with us on social media and does come back and forth, especially with me, because I'm the only one that's on social media. The rest of the two, they're just here for their creative flair. But
Well, it's Whitey and the team. It's Whitey and the team, isn't it?
Thank you. It's
Not a
now
good
official.
start. Not a good start, man.
Thank
Not a
you.
good
So
start.
he can stay. He can stay.
Before you go on, what was it with the name Matt back in your time? Like, were they just handing it out? Every fucking prick we meet is made Matt around here.
Everyone.
So,
Yeah. I had about 4 mates that were Matt as well, so they were just handing them.
Crazy.
Biblical. It's biblical. That's what it is. Yeah, it's biblical. So anyway, Matty's with us tonight, and he's going to go through the good, the bad, the ugly. Now, he reached out. Alien is one of his favourite movies of all time. And at very early on when he came on board, it was one of the first things he said to me is, I can't wait for you boys to do Alien. And it's been a little while in the waiting. We like to, when someone throws a movie out that they like to do, we just like to hold them off a bit and just make sure that they're in for the long haul. We don't want to, just sort of reward people too early. But Matty's been around with us for a long time now. So it was very easy for me to think, well, it's time to bring him on board for our first special guest, really, who's going to be doing good, the bad, the ugly with us. And it's probably something we might do moving forward, reward some of the loyal listeners, which are few and far between. But so it shouldn't take very long to get through them all. But let's start. So we're going to start with the good, and we're going to start with the big man to start with, our guest of honour. So, Matty, what do you think, what's good for you for Alien?
In the good list, I've got it's a laundry list, but right at the top, Nostromo set design was next level. That feeling of claustrophobia and isolation was bloody terrifying. Condensation on the panels, all the through all the walkways, everything looked worn. It was really well done. The alien design, like that suit, like Geiger is next level. They were saying he was like a vampire on the set too. You'd only see him, here and there.
He's an ugly fella, ugly man.
Scary. He's a scary bloke, yeah. But his, working with black plasticine for 14 hours to create the suit was next level. And then, the soundtrack as well, which that tension, that quiet kind of terror, that dread that leads you in. They don't need to spell everything out for you. I thought that was bloody awesome. And the cast, I thought the interaction with the cast was unreal. I know Ridley Scott filmed a lot of the rehearsals and didn't really give them any practice time. So they clocked a lot of time together. And I reckon you could tell when you watched it. They had this kind of, the cast was well formed, I thought.
I definitely felt that they had relationships. Like it didn't feel like there was tension, and I know they really built that tension between Yaphet Kotto and Sigourney Weaver. That was intentional. They were supposed to not like each other, and
he was actually told to annoy her on set so that they'd have that dynamic.
Yeah, and he certainly does.
That banter back and forth, yeah.
Yeah, they certainly don't really like each other very much. It's very good.
Just back to the set design, Matty, I think that's a massive call. I totally agree. They actually made blueprints for the Nostromo, like completely drew out exactly what it would look and how all the rooms are dejected, and those blueprints exist now. So they got a little carried away, it must be said, but it certainly reflected in the final product, in that you always feel like the exterior shots morph into the interior shots, so that you're looking at what you would think that the inside of that ship would look like.
Absolutely, yeah. It was so well done. Very good.
Yeah, well, they built a whole set. So it was literally they lived in a set, and we can just sort of tack onto your set design there a bit. Just feels everything's really tactile. You know what I mean? Like feels like it's lived in. It feels like and obviously because of the age of it, it's very touch and reaction. So when Dallas goes into Mother for the first time, he pushes a button, a latch opens, he takes something out, he puts it in somewhere else. It's fucking incredible how the detail that went into this, and you feel it, and it really adds to the experience completely. Yeah, absolutely. Anything more?
That's about it for good. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Okay, Dan, what do you got up there? We'll keep running with the externals. Go for it.
Yeah, Matty's nailed it. So I'll just tack on the back of that. I like that you're unsure who the hero is throughout the movie. So if you're seeing this for the first time, and I'm sure all the Matts the same as me, and it's very hard to remember what your first experience was with this film because we've seen it so many bazillion times. But you would think that Dallas is going to be your hero throughout. That's how this would normally play out. The captain, he's going to save the ship. That's if it was a who's that Scottish actor that's always fucking doing the action films lately?
Jared Butler.
Jared Butler, yeah, but Jared Butler's like, it's my plane and they're my passengers and I have to save them, bullshit like that. So that's what you would think would happen here. But no, Ridley is just biding her time. She's obviously super smart, but you don't expect that the final third of the film is going to hang on her so much. So I think that's incredible and so groundbreaking. The other bit for me was that, and Matt Biggie touched on it, was that whilst the sets are incredible, I think that Ridley Scott went out of his way to avoid those cliched 1950s horror tropey Creature from the Black Lagoon type. What the creature is. The creature is only, or the alien is only on screen for 4 minutes in this entire film, and he was absolutely hellbound not to have it look like it was a man in a suit, this alien, despite the fact that it is a man in a suit throughout the whole time. So the fact that he makes a lot of the terror and a lot of the horror in our minds rather than show it on screen, and similar to what Spielberg faced, I guess, with Jaws, was that the Jaws itself looked fucking shithouse. So he had to create a lot of the embedded fear between our ears rather than seen on screen. I think that's absolutely paramount. So it didn't make it look like a humanoid figure at all, despite the fact that there's a 6'8" dude in that suit for a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. G-Man?
Oh, you boys have hit most of it. I love the alien chest burst.
Agree. Oh, agree. Yeah.
No, hold on, Morgs. I'm agreeing to your agree to Matt.
Oh, double agree.
I'm agreeing on
you
top of your agree.
You can't double stab, Lloyd. You can't triple stab a double stab.
The alien chest burst scene, it was so good. The way he was writhing around and they had to hold him down. And then when the blood just goes everywhere, which was done on purpose.
Yeah.
They didn't know how much blood there was going to be, so they wanted to get that reaction, which they really did.
Yeah.
Especially from Veronica Cartwright. The suspense of it's just that holding terror when you go in. I jumped when the alien appeared in front of Dallas, like,
oh yeah,
you know what's happening, and when it bang and he turns around, I literally jumped out of the chair. The same with the scene with Jonesy with the cat.
Fuck Jonesy.
Yeah, just that whole thing. Again, the alien when the alien's in the escape pod. Yeah, and you just see him curled up, and all of a sudden you just realise that the alien's there. Like you're thinking,
it's terrifying.
All the tension's gone to her having to get away, and only got a minute to go, and trying to get onto the escape pod, and then bang, there's movement, and she has to jump back. The other thing I liked just quickly was Ash's head on the table. When they're talking to him, they fix him back up and he's talking to. I thought that was really good. Yeah, it was really well done. Yeah. for the time.
I think it's practical effects as well. Yeah, there's it's
all practical.
No CGI. Yeah. It's all practical, which is incredible. I just want to touch on. You mentioned at the end where on the escape pod the alien manages to hide out. So when you compare this to other similar movies, and Aliens is a good one to contrast with. You're almost like, oh, is that the end with this film? Because normally they stretch it out for so long, and there's so many false endpoints that that are just going to drag on a bit. With this one, it was almost like, oh, okay, that's how films used to end. You didn't have to continue to up the ante and make it so that we were dragged on a little bit more. So even in this revisit, it was quite a standout for how quick, I guess, they get to the demise, and Ripley's able to save the day.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I got the start. Super measured. No one speaks for 6 minutes and 35 seconds, and that is silence plays such a part in this movie. And Matty mentioned the score, but I'm going to mention the lack of score is haunting. It is the silence, and the part where it makes the most sense is when Kane gets face hugged in the ship. It just cuts to silence. There is no noise. They then take an external shot of the ship. It then comes back to the Nostromo where we're waiting to hear what's happened, and then there's another external. There's no sound for about 20 seconds, and then it's the sound of them coming to the door. It's just incredible. It's that lack of score that it gives you the time to digest what you've just seen, because you have never seen anything like that. That thing
leaping out of the egg and attaching to his face is just absolutely frightening.
Yeah, it is that lack of it there. And it just leaves it to your imagination. And the same when Dallas, it jumps in front of him. And that's it.
It's it.
And then
just
you
cuts.
don't know.
Just cuts.
And then you're just left wondering exactly what's happened and how bad it was for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we've spoken about the set design. I love the space jockey. That space jockey set is just something that is just
It's so good. So
unbelievable. And the fact that we don't know, we know nothing about that until Prometheus, right? We know nothing.
How much money would they have spent on that setup and that set design for absolutely no payoff in this movie? And not knowing that there was going to be a sequel. They didn't design this thinking there was going to be a sequel. Ridley Scott wanted to blow Ripley's fucking head off at the end of this particular movie because he wasn't thinking in terms of sequels. So incredible amount of expense that went to that just so that we were in awe of this Cecil B. DeMille style, what the fuck have they just built type moment.
Yeah, every time I watch it, it blows me away. I love Brett and Parker. I think their dynamic is awesome. Typical union grunts. Right. We've got to talk about the bonus. What's happening with the bonus? What about Michelle? Right. I just love their dynamic. I think without them, there's no levity in the movie at all, and they just bring such a slight part of levity, which is really needed because it's fucking grim. Right. Super grim. Super grim. The chest burster scene. Gauss touched on it again. 56 minutes into the movie. It's half the movie is gone until you have the face hugger and then you have the chest burster. 56 minutes. From the 56th minute, though, it is nonstop. It is your heart is racing for 56 minutes. It feels like nothing transpires for almost an hour, and then it feels like you have run a marathon in the next hour. It's incredible how.
And with filmmaking, I think that changes in generations as well. So a good comparison is you look back at John Wick, it doesn't have a lot to do with this film, but if you look at John Wick, the original, versus John Wick 4, John Wick looks slow compared to the preceding, the sequels to that film. So there's definitely, I think that every director that came on, and it was a star-studded roll call of directors that took on the Alien franchise post Ridley Scott with James Cameron and David Fincher and that French freak, and his name escapes me, but
Genet or whatever.
Yeah, it was definitely, they had to up the ante. There was no way that you would be allowed to spend an hour just setting up this world and setting up the inevitability for us. So the fact that it is still 45 years on for us, something that we can watch and be enthralled by, I think is just absolute credit to the whole team and Ridley Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. I got Brett's death. Brett's death is amazing. The build up to Brett's death.
So good. So good.
That whole room, the chains, the noise, the water. What the fuck is there water doing in there, right?
That's what I'm going to look at in film school for FWITS this week because I joke a little bit with you blokes about mise en scène throughout the podcast, but we're actually going to nerd out a little this week, and we're going to look at the complete mise en scène of the Here Kitty, which is what it's known as, that particular scene, because every element that goes into makeup mise en scène is worth deconstructing and looking at for that. But it's beyond the chest buster. I mean, chest burster is known as the scene for this film, but for me, Kitty is it's what I'm left with as far as just an incredible flex by the director in how to create such an inevitable death scene.
That part when Brett looks up and actually sees like the aliens swinging there in the chains. Just fucking terrifying.
Absolutely. Yeah. Every time too. It never diluted. So.
Okay, Matty, let's rock into bad. What do you got for bad?
Alrighty, bad. Poor use of incinerating units. Like they've got these fucking flamethrowers and at every point they're not using them.
Yeah.
I get, because, they're going to kill the alien, then it bleeds and acid destroys the ship. I get it. But they could give it a squirt. Like even when Parker was there, and he, alien's back was to him, he could have given a bit of a squirt so he runs off. He goes to hit it with the flame. So that shat
was
me.
Dumb.
Everyone had a chance. Dallas, Parker, Ripley. Anyway, continually splitting up. It's a trope that happens. That's such a trope,
isn't it?
It's just, and they've got to do it. I mean, they've got to do it, but that just annoyed me. And then the last one was like, forget the cat. All this effort for the cat.
Oh, yes.
Fuck the cat off.
Yeah.
Forget the cat. You don't need it.
Yeah.
Jonesy.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a bit on Jonesy. I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah.
We're not cat lovers here. Okay, Dan, what do you got?
I'm allergic to cats. No good.
Yeah, me too. Dan, take it away.
Couldn't agree more, Gow. I understand how
amateurs.
I understand about this agreeing. It feels good to agree. So no, that fucking cat. Like I get it. It's meant to humanize Ripley, so she is the direct contrast to the alien who is solely interested in its own well-being and wanting to lay eggs or fuck the mouths of all the hosts that are there. So I think that's the technical term. But yeah, that cat. Every single person that's seen this movie is like, who on earth would go back and get that cat? But I get why they did it as a screenwriting device and what we're meant to glean from that as far as who Ripley is. But yeah, fuck that. I fucking hate cats.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Okay. G-Man?
I had that no one really seemed too cut up by any of the deaths on the ship, especially when Kane died.
Oh, well.
They were kind of like, oh, yeah, and they all just sat around.
Let's just shoot him out the airlock.
Like, no one got anything to say, and no one said anything, and then they just shot him out the back. And they said there could have been, there could have been a game over, man, game over. But there was nobody that got hysterical.
No, Veronica Cartwright gets hysterical.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
she
getting
lost
her
it for a
too,
bit. Yeah.
She's a pain in the ass.
She's a pain. That was the next bad. She's a bit of a pain in the ass, but they did want her to be that because she was supposed to symbolise the audience's fears and worries about all of that, and she didn't want to play that part like that. But that's what they wanted to do because they said you're encapsulating all of that for the audience, right?
If anyone views me in that way, can you give me a swift slap across the fucking face, please?
But even just all of the deaths, no one really seemed too worried. Like someone would go and they just go, oh, righto.
Yeah, well, they were scared shitless. It was fight or flight, right? So it was better you than me.
The other thing I had was how quickly does an alien grow?
I've got exactly that.
Because it's a baby when it does the first
4 hours.
facehugger.
It's 4 hours.
And then the next thing you know, it's fully grown.
And not even that. The skin they pick up, that he picks up, is small.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like he's just shed its first skin. Yeah, very quick.
Super quick. So
and it hasn't eaten anything.
What's the timeline? Yeah. What is the timeline on this? The other thing I got was when Dallas was going hunting for it, this thing moves really silently for a big beast. Like when it's coming towards him quickly, there's no sound at all. I mean, when they were in there trying to grab the gear, when they were clunking around and throwing oxygen tanks around, there was heaps of noise. That thing made no noise whatsoever.
Mm. Yeah, it's a silent killer.
Very silent.
Mm. Okay. I reckon Jonesy's in on it. Jonesy and the alien are partners, right? It wasn't Ash. It's Jonesy. Jonesy's an android as well.
I was going to say, Jonesy could be an android.
Because Jonesy was he was mocking them to come get him, to drag him in to be, he was in on it, for sure. And when Ripley, the best part of the movie is when Ripley throws the cage that Jonesy's in. I'm thinking, yeah, fuck you, Jonesy. I hope you headbutted the side, right? Jonesy is definitely in on it. Okay, smoking in enclosed spaces and at dinner tables, awful. And you got a lot to do with pubs, Matty. You're not allowed to smoke inside anymore. Not allowed to smoke anywhere near food.
Let alone on a 1,000-ton hauling gas refinery.
Yes.
Trying to recycle air and breathe. Yeah.
Mate, how many cigarettes did they smoke? Yeah.
Matty,
my God.
What's your position on Mad Men, the TV series?
Love it.
Fucking
love
it. We may have found my brother from another mother. It's funny because I'm revisiting it for about the 10th time at the moment, and the smoking is what blows me away. The mothers smoking in front of the kids, and all of them smoking in the boardroom.
All doing it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we all worked in pubs when we were tackers, and the fact that I had to clean ashtrays as a non-smoker to get my way through university is pretty fucking foul. So
okay. Kane's jumpsuit is shocking. The little crochet bit in the front, it's just how his old fella doesn't pop out of anything that he wears is the most amazing thing in the whole movie. How does anyone read the motion trackers?
Yeah.
Now, it's a square with different squares on it, and there's dots everywhere, and she's going, it's right behind you.
She just knew it was coming towards him at a rate of knots silently.
No, but then she's like, no, it's behind, or the other way.
It's behind you.
She's supposed to know that. Yeah.
Yeah, and fucking hell. then we mentioned about the alien getting onto the shuttle. How does the alien know to go and hide on the shuttle? It's been stalking everyone before that, but then it knows that it's got to go and hide on the shuttle where Ripley's going to go away.
I disagree there. I think that's in the tone of the film. This thing just wants to survive. That's its own sole focus, and that's why they contrasted with Ripley saving fucking cats, because they're completely polar opposites. So no, I disagree a bit with that. I can understand where it was coming from.
As Mother's destroying the ship, there's gas and things flying everywhere. The only place that doesn't have anything crazy going on is the shuttle.
Yeah.
So it's gone into the shuttle.
Hey.
I think that's Dan and the new Matt delivering you a fuck you.
Hey, WA. Hey, WA. You're on a short fucking leash, mate. Right?
Yes, sir.
I got one last one, and it's to do with the shuttle again. Why does she turn her back on the alien in the shuttle? So when it is coming out and it's coming towards her, she turns her back to the alien. Why? How does she know?
I can answer this.
Please, Daniel, go for it.
No, when Gow and I on our travels,
we had some travels, more, didn't we?
I mean, it was we saw the world together, and it was quite incredible. And it kind of, it's forged our bond for our entire lives. So at one particular time, we were both living and working at Apex Mountain in Canada, and
we've never heard about this.
Yeah, we were in the ski industry, and we're professional snow sports professionals. But as a side hustle, we both work in the bar, Gal? Or was it just me that worked in the bar? No, I think because you did as well. Yeah, but
no, I was the doorman. Remember? You worked in the bar, yeah.
No. But, so as far as turning your back and thinking that you're hidden. So at one stage, we were
the greatest.
We were flogging food out of the kitchen and running it out the back to scurry back to our accommodation at the Gun Barrel Saloon. But I sensed that there was a presence that was about to spring me stealing this food. And instead of keeping an eye on it in order to hide, I did exactly what Ripley did. And I turned my head and stuck my head underneath a bench and basically thought invisible
full ostrich.
Yeah.
He stuck his head down into the ground and went, hopefully they won't see me.
So,
mind you, so what? About 15 schooners.
So hang on a minute. So what you're telling me is that Ripley turned her back on the alien because she's a fuckwit.
That's
yeah, pretty much.
I think if you pause play here, you can see exactly. No, right. It was what any sane, sensible 15 schooners deep person would do at that time to turn themselves invisible. So, geez, they were good times, Gow.
Amazing.
Tell you what, there was a few hijinks after that night too.
Yeah,
for another time.
Anyway, Matty, over there in WA, what do you got for ugly? You got anything?
Okay, so ugly, I had a couple. Already had this. You mentioned the smoking. That's terrible.
Nice. Yes.
Loved it and hated it. Ash's reboot. So the fake head that they made for Ash, the synthetic, the way they kind of did it actually shrank the head, and then it wouldn't sit properly. So the cutting of the fake to the real head was shit. And every time
it's pretty
I watch
abrupt,
it,
isn't it? Yeah.
Do you think that's we're looking at that with 2023 cinema eyes? Like I think in 1979 you're not picking up on that cut, but I totally agree. I saw it this week when
it's jarring.
and it is jarring. But I think at the time on the big screen you're probably not thinking, oh geez, they fucked that up.
Probably not. But every time I watch it, my overs. What were your overs and unders?
Oh, 100.
Yeah, easy. So every time I see that, I'm like, oh, jeez, just fix that up.
It's jarring.
Set up.
Yeah.
Just cut to something else. And anyway,
sorry, Matt. Before you go on, we've spoken about aliens a lot, and we drop aliens calls. Where do you sit on Aliens versus Alien?
I'm all over the shop, but at the moment, right now, Aliens is slightly above for me.
I understand that.
That's where we got to. That's where we got to, Matty.
My overs on that would be huge, probably more than Alien as well. Watchable.
Good fucking call so far. Okay,
so that's the ugly for Matty. What about you, Dan? What do you got? Anything for ugly?
No, I had nothing for ugly. No, I whilst I am an agreeer like Gow, I don't have anything for ugly at this time.
G-Man, ugly.
I agree that I have nothing for ugly.
Okay. I've got one thing for ugly. So Ash is an android, super smart robot, choking with a magazine what is the go with that? I've never understood the choking with the magazine. I know it looks great. Don't get me wrong, it looks great. Just choke her. Right?
It was
kind of like he lost it from it, didn't he? Like went a bit Westworld.
He loses it. Don't worry about that.
I think it was just aligned with the ongoing theme of sexual violence and rape and everything to do with phallic.
It was violation.
It was definitely violation. I think that's the only explanation for it because, yes, you totally agree. It seems strange for an android who you would think, like a chimpanzee, just rip her head off like a fucking
he nearly Temple of Doom's Parker's chest, right?
Molar rum. Yeah, never
molar rum. Nearly molar rums him, right?
He does too.
Absolutely. No, it was strange. But if you look back, everything in the film, especially from Giga Giga, looks like either a dick or a vagina the entire time. And the face the face fucker is definitely thematically linked to sexual deviance and rape. And I think it's just an ongoing theme throughout. So that was my take on it. But it could be like when you read a novel in high school and the teacher says, what's the symbolism of the blue door? And the fucking writer tells everyone, I just needed to pick a fucking colour for the door and it was blue. So, could be post-rationalisation of by us. But yeah, that's my take.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's the end. Matty, how was it? How was your first dabble into Born to Watch?
Mate, unreal. I feel very privileged. Come back anytime.
Mate, we've enjoyed having you. Now, what are you going to rate? What are you rating Alien? What are you going to give it?
Look, it's been so special for so long, from when sneaking past the lounge room when I was 6 or 7 and parents telling me to get out but still looking over the couch to see it, and then actually watching it later on was completely terrifying. So it can't be anything but a 5.
It's
nice work.
5 all day.
Yeah, good call.
It would be unjust anything less than that. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I love your work, matey. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining the Born to Watch team. Not only here tonight, but just following us the whole time and being such a great supporter of the podcast and making your snide comments about Gow and Dan on just between you and I on the social media, which is great.
Oh yeah, what did I piss you off about the other week?
Mate, the 2.5 on Iron Man.
Jesus, that's what it was.
That was sick, Gow. That was sick. I was with you.
Yeah, I knew that.
Was sick. Matty, you've classed the joint up, mate. Thank you for turning up tonight. I feel like I've got a kindred spirit over there in the West. So when we probably should start our own pod without these two shit cunts. So maybe we can talk about that offline.
Hey, Morgs, maybe we need some travels over to the WA.
Oh, that's it.
Rekindle the travels.
I've done a bit of good work over there, but yes, G, you and I should probably do our 25th anniversate tour and start off in Perth. So
the pubs are waiting. You do a podcast from one of the pubs.
We'd love that. We'd love that.
No,
okay, Matty, thanks so much for your time, bud. Appreciate it, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks, Matty.
Thank you so much. See you guys. Bye.
That was pretty successful.
Good.
Yeah, we could talk shit about him when he's not here.
Jeez, I tell you, you give a guy a little bit of fucking rope.
That was a disappointment.
Mate,
hell.
I thought he'd be way better than that.
He looked like the cover art for the Descendants album. Like fucking those. What were those fucking glasses? Oh,
I'm sorry. Look, that's my fault. Oh, shit. Okay, yeah. Anyway, so that was it for Good, the Bad, the Ugly. And now we're going to move into Dan's Quickfire.
Yes, fellow F-wits, monumentous occasion. You can obviously gauge that this is a pretty special film for all of us, but let's have a look at Quickfire. You know how it goes. First and foremost, a little birdie's been telling me that I've been getting a pizzling in the lookalike. So just to clarify, lookalike is not just what shit cunts look like me. It's meant to be about who out of the film looks like someone else with a bit of fame about them. So as far as lookalikes go, gents, there's not many humans in this film, so it's a bit of a tough one. Was there anyone that you thought, oh, actually, that looks a bit like...
Yeah.
Harry
Dean Stanton looks like you.
All right, we've heard from that one-note song for quite a bit, but I can understand it. He does have quite a conker. and he has a penchant for the trucker's hat.
Yes, that was more it. I think that's more it. It's
That's
the shit
it.
trucker hat that it looks like he's in from Ronald McDonald House.
That's
Right?
it. It's terrible look. I still run it to this day. Good work, me. Good work, Harry Dean Stanton. That's not a knife for
Good
a
work,
scene
me.
that is passed over into popular culture, a la Michael J. Crocodile Dundee in the seminal Crocodile Dundee film. Anything, I don't know. Like, I mean, the chest burst scene itself would have to be one of the most famous horror scenes. But would you call it popular culture though? I don't know.
I don't know if everybody would know that.
It's probably been parodied a bit. I think if you, it's difficult for a scene for this movie, but if you went for the alien itself, if you went for Ellen Ripley, as in strong female lead in an action movie, you went for that sort of, and then obviously the tagline, in space no one can hear you scream.
Say, yeah.
They're the three things that I sort of come up with in regards to a scene. I'm with you, Dan. I'm going to agree that there's not many scenes that you would say that is quintessentially just known for Alien.
No. I couldn't agree with
Whereas I would think that with Aliens, it could be Get Away From Her, You Bitch. It could. There's a couple of things. Game Over, Man. Much more. Mate, and when you get to quotables,
to hell.
Yeah, but you'll get to quotables. There's not a lot of quotables, right?
No.
Not a lot of quotables, which means really not pop culture.
Yep, agreed. Yep. Moving on. Philip Stuckey in Pretty Woman, Jason Alexander's douchebag character for character in the cast as a bit of a douchebag has to be Ash.
Has to be Ash.
Oh, it's Ash.
There's no one else that in. And he does very well, old Bilbo Baggins. It's certainly, and it's one that if you love this film as much as we do and you go back and rewatch it, watching Ash like, Whitey said he did in his latest revisiting, it's really enlightening because you can see from the get-go that he's just not phased the whole time. He's got his own agenda and that's what he's working to. So
no.
What a cockhead. Well played, Ian Holm. The cast of Caddyshack. I mean, there's fuck all cast in this film, so it's hard for them not to get the tone. But Whitey, again, you made a good point earlier on where it felt like they had been able to create a bond of colleagues that worked together super quickly. You didn't feel that anyone didn't get the tone of it. So I think that it would be hard to say that no one gets the tone of this particular film.
All I'm hearing here is a lot of Whitey. You're going pretty fucking great in this podcast.
It does great.
I could be MVP.
Are you agreeing with Morgs about yourself?
I'm agreeing that I'm pretty great. Right? I'm agreeing that I'm pretty great.
You could be OPP. You down with OPP?
Yeah, you know me. Move on.
Damo would be shattered by that lack of rhythm. But moving on, Olivia Newton-John's cartwheel at the pep rally in Greece for a particularly heinous show of athletic prowess. Nothing really stood out in Alien. I know that in subsequent films, we can take the piss out of Ellen Ripley's style. But in this one, I think it was all handled well and we didn't feel like people didn't have a grasp on their job or their ability to.
She doesn't have to run in this movie. I've said she's serviceable in this movie.
That's it. That's it.
The other one really was Kane when he fell down under the vape level.
Oh yeah,
the eggs.
Yeah, that was a bit corky, but
I think they needed that because he had to slip under to find out the eggs were there.
So just on that, while we get do you reckon they are? Because I said there's like a fine mist and there's like a laser, and that it broke and it made sounds. Do you reckon that the sound alerted the eggs that there was prey? Do you know what I mean? Like, is that what? Because when he broke the sound, when he broke the barrier of the mist, there was a squeaky sound. Was that
the gestation period for these things? I mean, they're sitting around just being fugly, KY jelly filled eggs for eternity by the look of it until something actually turns up and follows the beacon. So yes, I think that would be a worth. And again, agreeing with Whitey, I think I'm going to have to change tack for the second half of the pod. But yes,
MVP.
Probably a good call there. Come on, Gal. Gal, say something poignant.
MVP.
Shit teeth, baby's teeth. Gowie.
Okay.
All right, good job. Robot Sentries, stealing from the sequel to Alien for a scene or scenes that you wanted to see in the film in maybe a director's cut that would tell you a little bit more about the predicament they're in. Now, interestingly enough, this film does have a director's cut that adds quite a few scenes that don't necessarily tell us more about the predicament, but I reckon probably are spoilers for the Aliens movie that I don't think are necessary. So the one I'm thinking of is that there is a deleted scene on YouTube, which you can see, which has Ripley finding at the end when she's walking around with her flamethrower, she comes across a dead Brett and a still alive Dallas getting set up in the cocoons. And if you think of Aliens, it's when they find, and it's a great scene, and it would have been, if it was a standalone film, it would have been a good addition. But all it does is still from the thunder of the Aliens movie when the same thing happens. So I don't think it's necessary. What about you guys? Did you want to know anything else?
I've got here, I don't think a DC is required here. I don't think a director's cut's necessary. Funnily enough, Dan, the Plex version of this movie has the Dallas scene in it.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
I didn't watch the Plex.
I watched it on Disney. So
so did I.
So it has the Dallas scene in it. So, and that's the only scene.
Okay.
And the director's cut is the only scene. There's nothing else.
I don't think there's anything you really need to add to this because it tells the whole story in that slow, suspenseful way.
I think you don't want to know.
You really understand where you're at with it.
Yeah, I think you don't want to know what happens to them.
No.
You don't want to know.
But that's part of the know. But that's part of the mystique is that you don't know.
I disagree with you completely, Gow.
Such a fuckwit.
Anyway, nice one, G-Man. Finally, Whitey's Brad Pitt for the actor you'd most like to be burping the worm in the mole hole with. Now, I don't know exactly what that one means, but it sounded fucking
pretty good.
Cool. So, yeah.
Sounds.
I mean,
that's a bit like, Dan, you know what that's a bit like? That's a bit like the magazine in the mouth. I'm not really sure what's going on here.
Inexplicable.
I think I've got an idea. Yeah.
That's it. So, I mean, look at Ripley in her 12-year-old girl's undies. Interesting, but it's not. You're not meant to think of any of these characters as sex symbols at all.
No.
Like they're meant to be. They're toughened space truckers essentially. So it's difficult. But obviously Ellen Ripley is a beautiful woman. But you don't come away from this film thinking about rooting.
It's the last thing on your mind when she's in the shuttle and she's in the singlet and the panties. You're not thinking about the substantial bush that's going on under there. You're thinking about she's going to get mauled to death.
Just for our younger
and then the bush.
Our younger listeners. So back in the 70s, 80s, and some 90s, people used to have pubic hair over their genitalia. So, but obviously now there hasn't been pubes seen since 1997. So it's interesting to go back and revisit this as film lovers.
Yes, definitely, Daniel. Well done, Daniel. Another cracking quick fire. We're going to move into Listen to This. G-Man, take it away.
All right, I've got one for you. The working title of this movie was called Star Beast.
Certainly was.
But Dan O'Bannon didn't like it and changed to Alien because when he saw the number of times it came up in the scripts, they changed that name, which I don't think Star Beast has anywhere near the right.
Alien's such a cool name. Yeah. Such a cool name.
The original cut of this movie ran for 3 hours and 12 minutes.
I'd really like to see that.
Yeah, that's a long movie.
Yeah, I'd like to see it once.
Yeah, because it's a slow movie. It's 3 hours, 12 minutes. Wow.
Must have been a lot of them talking about what they were tugging through the space.
Maybe, yeah.
You know? Because you know the Slumut Tuggy.
There was talk about having some sex scenes in this, having casual sex, because that's what they were supposed to do.
Dallas and Ripley were supposed to have a sex scene at one stage,
because they were talking about what they do.
What do they do?
Being out there for so long, and they all have, there's bouts of casual sex going on.
It'd be a bit swampy after 10 months of hypersleep.
Straight to the showers.
Yeah.
Give it a scrub. So the chest bursting, I'm going to run on here because Gal's struggling. The chest bursting scene, although it looks like it was filmed in one take, was not filmed in one take. In saying that, the first time the burster's trying to get through, it's actually, that fucks up. It was supposed to actually come through the first time. So when it just breaks the surface, that was actually supposed to go all the way through. But it didn't, which actually adds to the fear. And then so they then cut and they go back and they do it again and they fill it all with bloods and guts. Shit comes out and that's all offal and real blood and shit that goes all over their face and the reactions are real. Now, anyone that knows anything about this movie knows that those reactions were real. Like Veronica Cartwright legitimately almost has a fucking heart attack when this happens and they were in shock. Yaphet Kotto, after the scene, went off and went missing for like minutes just to fucking recover. So
well, they had so much blood in it, they didn't know that was the extent of the blood or what direction. They had it going straight at them too, and that's why, yeah, her reaction is super real.
Yeah,
when you watch it,
it's excellent, so good, so good. Dan, this is one of your go-tos. You got anything?
Yeah, we dropped quite a few tidbits in this already, but one of them I thought was pretty funny, and we alluded to it originally. But Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett, who were the writers, the original script writers, they pieced together most of the script, but they couldn't work out how to get the beast onto the spaceship, and it was really freaking them out. Like they didn't know how to make it not schlocky and really elevate it beyond that B movie presence. So they'd reached an impasse, and until one night Shusett woke up in a cold sweat apparently, and he jumped on the phone. He called O'Bannon immediately. He said, "I've got it. The alien jumps on one of their faces and fucks them."
Yes.
So that was literally how they got to that whole the facehugger scene. So it was, and O'Bannon didn't think it was a madman. He was like, "My God, that's it. That's exactly how we do it." So the whole sexual theme that was, I guess, taken to another level by Geiger's necromaniac originating artwork, and obviously the alien stills and everything that come from it. They actually carried out research into insects and they took inspiration from braconid wasps, which apparently lay their eggs inside caterpillars. So slowly the idea developed from there, but that was actually how they got across a hole in the plot that it became what was that thing, fucking Kane's face, in the end.
Yeah, nice. G-Man?
No, I've done one. Yeah, I'm all good.
We talked about the space jockey, and that was the 20th Century Fox didn't want that in the movie because it was just obviously so huge and it's cost so much money. But Ron Cobb, who was the conceptual artist, actually drew that and was like, "No, you got to keep this in. It's going to be the shot of the movie that's going to be remembered." And to be honest, it's such a powerful part of the movie, that scene. It's unforgettable. The space jockey scene.
Yeah.
It's really interesting for this film that there are actually 4 different sets of conceptual artists that they use in creating the art direction for the film. So Giger, obviously, you can tell exactly when it's his input because you see the alien spaceship and you see the alien itself and everything that it looks in that dripping with really phallic and really sexualized. It obviously comes out as a Giger-esque, but the Nostromo was designed by another team, and then the space jockey was designed by another team again. So it was very unusual to have so many exceptional elite art production and art directors working on the one film.
Absolutely. Anyone got anything else?
Nope.
Okay, well done. Notable quotables. G-Man, you got anything?
I didn't have any quotables for this movie. There's not really many.
I got a couple passages. Dan, you got anything?
No, I'm with Gail. I didn't feel that it was a film. I quite like the fact that it doesn't have a lot of quotes that are passed over that you would use. Like we aren't quoting Alien to each other at any time in our lives, whereas Aliens we haven't stopped quoting for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
So yes, I think that's the distinction.
Yeah, there's some long passages, but there's nothing that's a real quote that stands out that goes, that's iconic.
I just love Parker. His think we should discuss the bonus situation. I just love that over and over. I loved the bit which sort of gives you an insight on where you get the, I guess when you think of aliens is, "Mother, I've turned the cooling unit back on. Mother, the ship will automatically self-destruct in T-minus 5 minutes. Ripley, you bitch." It's just, so she's got it in her. The other thing is the bit that I really liked when Ripley, "Ash, any suggestions from you or Mother?" Ash, "No, we're still collating." Yeah. Ripley, "You're what? You're still collating? I find that hard to believe. What would you like me to do?" "Just what you've been doing, Ash." "Nothing." Yeah. She's quite wise as to what's going on.
Yeah.
She's not a fan.
No, she hates him. And, quite rightfully so. We're flying through them now. Film school for F-wits. Dan, take it away.
Fellow F-Wits, thank you. Look, this week, you may have noticed that sometimes with Film School for F-Wits, it feels like I may have just done it in the 30 seconds before we get on air. But this week, I think we're going to nerd out a little because I think we should take a detailed look at the mise en scène of a scene that is huge to me, and certainly it is something that I draw upon a lot when I'm both writing my own scripts and chatting to my fellow colleagues in the industry. But it's the Here Kitty scene. And first of all, I mean, just mise en scène. Mise en scène is a French term, and it means essentially putting on stage. So what it means in film, it combines all the elements such as lighting, composition, art direction, costuming, makeup, and texture, and it's almost everything that happens in front of the camera in a particular scene. So it's everything that a director chooses to include in a particular scene. So you can sound really cool at your next dinner party or grabbing a kebab after you've been on the piss and talk about the mise en scène of a particular scene. So the chest burster scene is the most famous film within this incredible film, bar none. But Here Kitty, which is the demise of Brett, is my favourite film. So we're going to go through that a bit. So what basically, I mean, as far as why it's worth revisiting, it's just it's something that really showcases as much of what Ridley Scott shows us as much as what he hides from us. So he really it uses our imagination to make what is terrifying. And it's a really Hitchcock style of filmmaking. So we're often told as screenwriters to show, not tell. And I think this is an exact way to show that, how that is transcribed into film by not the aliens only in the whole film for 4 minutes. So it's definitely our imagination that what really makes the scene terrifying. So there's many elements though that go into this mise en scène. So first of all, let's look at the set design and the location. So we talked a lot about the Nostromo, but if you think about other sci-fi films of the time, like Star Wars, like Buck Rogers in the 25th century, like other sci-fi films like Star Trek, everything was a bit more tone, like the style was a little bit more futuristic. It was a little bit more crisp. It was highlighting principle. It wasn't like truckers in space, and it wasn't industrial and gritty. But that's the difference that Ridley Scott was able to bring to the entire film, particularly this set. So if you think about Here Kitty, it's an industrial exposed mechanicals of the ship that we see, and it's not like the executive deck on Star Trek where you've got Mr. Spock and you've got you've got fucking William Shatner there directing everything, and they're in their onesies, and you've got the guy in the onesie that's not the same.
The emergency disrupt system is now activated. The ship will detonate.
G'day guys, it's Whitey. What I'm doing, I'm going to save you a hell of a lot of pain and boredom. Gow and I nearly fell asleep during Dan's Film School for F-Wits. So we're going to cut it short. If you want to listen to it, we're going to upload it to YouTube with a little film clip for him as well. We're going to leave a bit in at the end which explains why this Film School for F-Wits seemed like it went for as long as the actual movie itself. Here's a cut down version with a few highlights of this week's Film School for F-Wits. People like Strangles, maybe even Matty Beergeek might want to head to YouTube to see the whole thing. For the majority of you, you're welcome.
You know is going to die. But they're pretty much just workers on this, and Brett epitomizes that with his trucker hat and his Hawaiian shirt. So it's dirty, it's grimy, it's not what we normally see in sci-fi, and it's not clean and futuristic. Here of the frame that he doesn't want in focus yet, he uses that depth of field to really draw on that mise en scène, real high key lighting that you see in the Mother scenes where it's all the blipping lights and white and apparently one issue that came out of it was all the cameras had focus issues because of the extreme low light. Makes part of the mise en scène as well. So that slow pacing, similar to Film School for Fuckwits this week, really builds the tension. First glimpse of Jonesy the cat. That's when he releases tension. One of the things Whitey touched on earlier, and Gal, you could probably say things a bit more poignant, and I would agree with you a bit more. But in this particular episode, it's all about Whitey. But he talked about the sound design. So there you go, F-Wits. I know that was slightly longer than ever and slightly more nerd-like than ever, but sometimes you just have to fucking kneel down and learn. boys.
Just okay, mate. Congratulations. I love it when I see that you've put some effort into
it's not
the
going to happen very
podcast.
often. It's not going to happen.
And this is, but what I've seen tonight is that you've put 69 episodes worth of effort into this film school for fuckwits.
Well,
and you've knocked it out of the park, right?
I'm not going to do a film school for fuckwits on Dirty Dancing, you fuckwits. So I just have to pick the right film in which to flex my chops.
Now, I just thought it was awesome you talked about the mise en scene and you were able to go from Alien and then morph it into the never-ending story as well. Like
Dan, now, just one last question before we move on. I know we've almost done the time limit on this segment, but correct me if I'm wrong. I feel somewhere in your past you may have done something on this exact scene, and that is something that you have done previously and not something that you have solely prepared for tonight.
Well, it would be disingenuous of me to not reveal that this was a high distinction in my mise en scène class at the University of Technology, Sydney, that made up 100% of this particular segment. So yes, finally, something that I learned at university has been proved useful, and it's probably the only time in my life. So thank you.
Well played, Daniel.
This is about as long as your university stint too.
Star of the show, G-Man.
I'm going to go with Sigourney Weaver here. I thought for a second movie, she just did really well in this role. She plays it really, really well. I think she just captures it. And the fact that we talked about earlier, the whole second half of the movie gets put onto her. Like, she's got to carry that whole thing on her own. Everyone's gone. It's a really tough thing to do, and I think she does a really, really good job of it.
Yep.
And it sets her up into Aliens 2, which she's fantastic in as well.
Absolutely. Daniel?
Yeah, there's so many standouts in this, but I'm actually going to give it to that Swiss freak H.R. Giger. I don't think this film exists without the nightmarish vision that this Swiss artist was able to bring. He's actually quoted as saying he hated going to sleep because he was scared of his own nightmares. And you can see it in what he contributes to the film as far as the art direction in the alien spaceship scenes and the alien itself. So I think Ridley Scott's brilliant. I agree with Gow, 100% Gow, there's an agree for you, that this sets up a female heroine that becomes probably our favourite in all of movies after this particular movie. But I just think that it's very difficult to elevate this. So just to even take a further step back, so Roger Corman, the king of B-movies, actually optioned this movie originally from Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett. So it could have been a shitty B-movie, but it just through a stroke of luck and the incredible bringing together of so many below-the-line production elements and also a great cast, it was actually elevated beyond what would be a normal B-movie 1950s schlock horror film. And I think that H.R. Giger, whilst a part of that, I just think it's his vision of the alien that is just so unique. That is what stays with you after this film.
Yeah, good call. We're gonna split in threes. I'm gonna go Ridley Scott. I think that I agree. Again, I'm the Gow agree guy. Sigourney Weaver is incredible. You're 100% right, Dan. You cannot have this movie without the mind of H.R. Giger. Without him, it doesn't exist. But I think you can also say the same for Ridley Scott. They needed to find a director with that vision of that lived-in vision, like he wanted it to be real. It was not. It was. Sci-fi had never really been done this way before. Like, sure, it took what you saw in A New Hope, where stuff was lived in and stuff was worn and old, and just doubled down on that. And I think that what he did with the handheld stuff, what he did with building the suspense, what he did with, it's all from him. That's his vision to have no score. It's his vision to have low light. It's all him. And sure, I don't think that the movie works without any of our stars of the show. But for me, just Ridley Scott, for a second movie, to do this and just turn a whole genre upside down and create, it's hard to argue that this isn't the best movie that he's done.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue against that. Like, he's made some incredible movies and movies, again, that have defined genres. but this
the Academy, and I'm still trying to be the torchbearer and actually make it into the Academy so that I can start to recognise films like this. But sci-fi films, and especially sci-fi films in 1979, directors were not recognised. Like, they didn't give a shit about it. Like, they wanted completely dramatic films to dominate all of the acting categories and the director categories. But absolutely, Whitey, like, this is groundbreaking in every sense of the word. And what he was able to do on a relatively small budget was redefine what a sci-fi horror trope could look like.
Yeah, well done. Okay, so we split it there. Alien, it's obviously been a cum contest here tonight. We can't throw any more platitudes at this movie. We obviously all really love this movie. Groundbreaking. It's created one of the best sequels of all time and one of our favourite movies of all time. I couldn't imagine my life without having this movie in it. It's incredible. I'm so glad that I pirated that movie in 1987. And it led me down the path of this franchise, which has had diminishing returns over time, but one of the strongest 1 and 2 punches in cinematic history with Alien and Aliens, there's no doubt. So that's going to take us into the rank bank. I've got a couple options here for you. As always, I'd like to get some feedback. Malfunctioning android science officers. Snide complicit cats, chest bursters, fatal facials, annoying hysterical crew members, and expendable crews. Anyone got anything?
Oh, I like expendable crews. What about you, G?
Yeah, I like that, or chest bursters. But expendable crews, I'm good with.
Oh, it's really got to be chest bursters.
I think it's got to be chest bursters.
Yeah,
I think it's got to be chest bursters.
That's the pinnacle scene from this film. So do it.
What we're going to do, we're going to throw Maddie's 5 in there. Right? We might as well.
Yeah.
So we've thrown his 5 in there. So I'm going to start with you up there on the land, Dan. How many chest bursters are you giving Alien?
Yeah, Matty Big Egg, he seems like a particularly sick cunt, and I agree with him. It's a 5 for me as well. It couldn't be anything else. This is an incredible film, and if you don't love it, fuck off and listen to something else.
Okay, well done, G-Man.
Well, this is a great movie, Morgs, but you may have lost it for me a little bit in that last third. Just remember you drew First Blood, Morgs. No, I'm just joking. No, this is a great movie. It's just an all-time classic. I'm going 4.5 chest bursters.
4.5.
That's a big score for you. You're particularly hard to get anything above the 4.25. So really good call, G Money.
This is an interesting one for me because I need to leave some wiggle room here because I think Aliens is a better movie than this. So I'm giving Alien 4.95.
Yeah. And plenty of wiggle room.
And I was very close to giving this 4.99, but I thought, no, we'll stick to the 5s. We'll stick to the 5s. So I love this movie. It's so fucking good. It's probably a 5 movie, but it doesn't really leave me any wiggle room for the sequel, which I'm giving away what I'm going to give the sequel when we do that one. But anyway, G-Man, that is going to be something special for Alien.
Okay, this brings us in at 4.86 chest bursters, right above LA Confidential at 4.83 chair pisses, and just below our equal number ones, Star Wars and Goodfellas, who all got 5s.
Nice.
So they were all 5. So this is in third spot. Into third spot goes Alien.
Yeah,
so that's a deserved spot.
Deserves to be there. Well, I tell you what, we haven't had a really good ranking movie in a while. Really, like that's high. That's high. 4.17, The Matrix. But other than that, we haven't been over 4 for many weeks.
I'd also just like you to acknowledge my seamless work on the
mate. You were quick tonight.
Sheet tonight. Yeah.
I could see you were in there.
Oh yeah, no, I got it ready early. Didn't have to spend 3 minthis going through.
I could see you were in there. Gow, Dan, you don't listen to the podcast, but Gow is notoriously shit at this, and normally we have to have a massive cut, and then we have to wait 5 minutes while Gow does this. But well done, G. Now, if you loved Alien, what are you going to love? Dan, what do you got?
This was a tough one. I went back through, and because it was so unique, I just went down the path of what other films kind of blew me away for being, when I saw them the first time, thinking, fuck, that was different. And we talked about it a tiny bit on this film, but it's not one you would have thought. It's called Children of Men. Now, we always fucking talk about Children of Men. Sorry, it's not Children of Men. But you should fucking watch Children of Men. But no, the other one that I thought, actually, wow, that was so unique, was a low-budget film as well, also shot in the UK, but many, many, many decades after, and it's called Attack the Block. So it was the first outing for John Boyega, who obviously, was in the most recent drivel of Star Wars reboots, but don't hold that against him. So this is Edgar Wright, who you might know as has been a director in a lot of great UK films over the years, but his writing partner Joe Cornish actually directs this, and it's built around a simple premise of what if aliens invaded the wrong part of the city. And what I really like about it is that I had no idea what it was going to be about when I first saw it, but the fact that the protagonists at the start you fucking cannot stand. They're just these London thugs who you think, how could I possibly have any interest in these kids? You want to see them get eaten by whatever the fuck is terrorizing this block, but they slowly take over and become who you root for in the end. So definitely worth a revisit if you haven't seen it, or I haven't seen it in a long time. Attack the Block, but not thematically linked to Alien, but definitely interesting films that when you see for the first time, you think, fuck, that's different.
Yeah, good choice. G-Man?
Look, we talked about it earlier, but the one that just strikes me is The Thing. Now, it's just they're so similar, aliens. One's obviously in the ice base. This one's in the spaceship. But the storylines, the tension, the way they build that up, 79 versus 82, very, very similar time frames of the movie as well.
Yeah.
The Thing is such an outstanding film. But it really is very similar in that setup and the way that both movies are portrayed. So, yeah, that for me is the one. If you really like Alien, go and watch that.
Yeah, good call, Gow. Very good call. Okay, I've got one. Not sure whether either of you would have seen this, but it's called Cloverfield Lane.
Yes. I was actually going to say that.
Is that the first one or the second one?
No, that's it's the second one. It's actually not even. It's sort of loosely.
Yeah, it's
aligned with
really
it.
A sequel. Yeah, it was a
it's not. But
rationalized sequel. Yeah,
it stars John Goodman and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who's Mrs. Ewan McGregor. A young woman is held in an underground bunker by a man who insists that a hostile event has left the surface of the earth uninhabitable. This is scary. It reminds me of Alien because of the paranoia, because of the claustrophobia. It's really, really good. It's really good.
It's great. I was saying to you before, I actually was thinking about putting that down. But John Goodman, who doesn't make a bad movie,
he's fucking amazing in this movie.
He is awesome in this movie, and this is high tension the whole movie, and
absolutely,
and the twists and turns of it. It's a great flick.
Yep, it is. It is. Thank you, Gal. Good job, boys. Another one down. A cracker moves into third spot on the rank bank, and it's in great company up there at the top. It's going to be hard to topple that. We know at least one movie which we've all spoken about tonight. But anyway, next week. Now, look, we're going to be without the G-Man. He's going on a sabbatical to Southeast Asia to meet some former girlfriends and spend some time with his family.
Few kumites.
Yeah. Some of the underground boxing matches that he's going to be into. Daniel will be having a week off because and I'll tell you what, he's earned it. He's earned it this week. Yeah, he's really put in this week. He's really put in a lot, and he's used all his words for next week tonight. So next week it's going to be myself and Damo in the panic room.
Brilliant.
We might be looking at ringing someone in for the good, the bad, the ugly again. But we've chosen a movie. These boys don't know what we've chosen, but we've chosen a movie mainly because they're not here.
Excellent. Thank God for that.
Now,
it's one less that I don't have to do.
It's a very good movie, and I think you both like it, but I'm not sure whether you would be up for the time it's going to take to really dissect this one. We're going to the Shire.
Oh, really?
We're going to be spending some time with Ian Holm again.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings.
Fuck no. Thank God I'm not here.
Now, there are 3 of these movies, and we will cover all of them.
Oh,
and at one time, you two will be required to be doing at least one of those movies.
Jesus.
But next week, Damo and I will be on our lonesome, and we're going to find someone. Did reach out to Johnny Bull. Mate, if he's keen, you've only got to send me a...
We'll see.
Oh,
Good on
he reckons he's over and
do it, Johnny.
He reckons he's over and unders aren't good enough.
Mate, I'm Damo on this. I'm one of each.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I reckon that's not a bad way to beat it, though. I'm a few. My overs, and I shudder to think what Damo, he's got to be 2. He's seen this a lot. This is one of his favourite movies of all time. He's read the book more the times that he's seen the movie. He said that the other week.
Yeah. Well, good luck, guys, with that next week. I'm sad I'm going to be missing it, but, I know you guys will do it justice.
We shall do it justice. I actually think Gow's away for 2 weeks.
Oh, is he?
Gow's away for 2 episodes, so we'll try and hold the fort here. Keep growing that subscriber base. And, get you a retainer that you deserve.
Retainer.
Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you, Matty Beer Geek. Well played, son.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, G-Man.
Thank you. Thanks, Matty, as well. That was great to have you on.
Yeah, Matty, that was amazing. We were just taking the piss earlier when we said you were shit house. You're actually awesome. We loved having you on. You brought some great insight, and we can't wait to have you back again. But you might just have to wait another 70 episodes. But we'll just see.
Let's get on the road. Let's get on the road to Perth.
I think we've got to get on the road to Perth and maybe take the show there. Anyone want to sponsor a trip for Born to Watch to WA for 3 or 4 knockabout lads? I'm sure that maybe one of the pubs might want to, Matty, if you send this to all your mates, maybe we'll grow quite a hefty base over there, and it might be able to do a live show over there, and you can charge $500, $1,000 a head for people to come in, pay for the show.
It'll sell itself.
It would sell itself. Been an absolute pleasure, gentlemen and people. Thank you for listening. Next week it is Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings. Spread the love. Bye for now.
See you all.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Born to Watch. To join us on our journey into some of our favourite movies of all time, you can find us on all good podcast networks like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you like what you hear, give us a 5-star review and share with your friends.